Hi Scorpio, welcome to a 2020 tarot spread. I got this idea from tarot.com. It's called the Year Ahead Tarot Spread. Okay. Just had some things falling there. And so I'm going to lay out the cards and then I will tell you what each position means after I've done so. You're only the second sign that I've done this reading for, so, or that I'm going to be doing this reading for. So, we shall see, we shall see. Oh, golly. Now my battery pack needs to be, there we go. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There we go. That would make a cool thumbnail. But YouTube only offers me the choices that they offer. I could take a picture of it, I guess. Maybe I'll do that. Let me see if I can do that right now. If they let you. I don't know if they do. But anyway, so the first position is called Sunset. Lessons from your previous year. It's funny because they have sunset, lessons from your previous year. It's like kind of reflecting on the past year, I guess. But then position number 5 is advice, and it says lessons you learned last year. So I guess it's like offering advice for the future based on that. Okay, so I'm going to just go with it. So the first card is lessons from the past year. 5 of Wands. So this would be some kind of contentious situation, maybe a competitive situation. So, for instance, a dog-eat-dog environment at work, and realizing that it's not worth it. It doesn't matter if if you make a lot of money or if, whatever. The point is that it's a toxic place to work and you probably dread going there every day. If it's a relationship, you can apply similar realization, a similar realization that there may be some things that you still cling to, like let's say you're in a marriage and you're fighting all the time, and the other person may be a good provider, maybe they, maybe you have some kind of stigma or you feel like there's a stigma about being divorced, or it's just something that isn't in your family and you're afraid of that. So you might have stuck with this person and then realize this is affecting my health, this is affecting my, my mental health too, not just physical health. And these kinds of things make you realize that you have to have peace. And it's interesting because when I think of the sign of Scorpio, and the fact that you're not only ruled by Pluto, but you're also ruled by Mars, it might be that you have a similar mentality as Aries people who are totally ruled by Mars, where it's like conflict is just part of life, and almost as if, hey, this is normal, this is even in some cases desirable. If everything is so placid or calm, you might even think there's something wrong. But I think even people like that realized at some point in 2019 that it just isn't that good of a situation. Now, sometimes the 5 of Wands is considered friendly competition, and it can be like you put yourself out on the line and you enjoy being in the fray. Whether it's like, believing in yourself and knowing, and thinking that, hey, I have the right to have success like anybody else, and I'm just going to compete with everybody. I'm not going to be afraid of telling people that my product is really good, or I'm not going to be afraid to shine on the job because other people will get threatened by it. I'm going to just jump in the fray and shine my light. And if it's a personal relationship, same thing. Like some people are very timid about meeting other people, and sometimes you just have to, wade in the deep end of the pool. And if it's like kind of like the dating scene where nobody has the ownership of somebody, and you feel like you don't want to compete for somebody's affection, you still want to make yourself known to others. And so you kind of put yourself in that environment because you have a newfound confidence, perhaps. I don't know. So I'm trying not to just see it in a negative way. Now, the second card is Horizon. What can you expect in the next year? We have the Emperor. Now, this is very good for feeling in control of your life. So, again, if you've been fighting a lot and there's been a lot of instability, perhaps, in relationship, you may feel like you have what it takes to do your own thing. You don't need somebody else's approval. That's what really being in control of your life is all about. And sometimes the Emperor can represent like a judge. So you said expect in the next year, maybe you are going to get divorced. Yeah, and I see the Justice card right there too. So if you're in an unhappy marriage, for instance, you may decide to just end it once and for all. And that is, even that act of, filing the papers can be symbolic of claiming your happiness and the right to a life on your own terms, which is how I see the Emperor. So the third position is Obstacle, a challenge you'll face this year. Okay, and I have the Fool card. And I would say that this is about starting over, with a clean slate. You may, it sounds to me like in 2020, even if you were to get divorced or to leave, quit your job, I could even see like the Emperor being you working for yourself and calling your own shots, being your own boss. But with the Fool card, it may be a little bit difficult in 2020 for some of you to fully start anew. Maybe you have unfinished business for some reason. Like, let's say you want to get divorced, but your spouse is unemployed and they're just like begging you and saying, can you just like hold off for a year while I get back on my feet, or something like that. There might be some mitigating circumstance that prevents you from fully starting over. That doesn't mean that you can't work around that, though. All it means is that you may still have stuff that you have to take care of, but you can still move in the basic direction of enacting change. Maybe it's even better to do it little by little. The fourth card, Strength, how to harness your inner power. So this is the Justice card. Now, this was a card I was mentioning about maybe indicating with the Emperor about some legal decision, but to me, because it's harnessing the inner power, it's more about your own looking at your patterns and trying to change things. The Justice card, you see how she's holding the scales. And we also have the Temperance card, which is about balance too. And so Scorpio is a sign that I think sometimes can be a little bit imbalanced in the sense that it's like all or nothing. It's very, I'm trying to avoid saying the word intense, but extreme is really what I meant to say. You love very fiercely, but then you can turn quite cold if you feel like your affections have been scorned or somebody betrays you. And that kind of, zero, or what was I going to say, doing a 180 in any area of life is problematic because it leads to polarization. It leads to love and hate type of relationships. Those aren't good because, first of all, they lack forgiveness. And I feel like it tends to bind you to a person. And that might be why some Scorpio people are doing that. They don't want to let go of that situation, or they feel like can't let go of it. So with the Justice card, what you can work on for 2020 is learning how to be more balanced, and I would say, because this card is connected to Libra, more detached. So that you don't take everything that happens personally, like water signs are wont to do. It's because water signs are subjective. And so everything that happens you feel is an indictment. Anything bad that happens is an indictment on you. Anything good that happens is a sign that you're all that in a bag of chips. And maybe neither one is the case. Maybe you're okay no matter what. And maybe the other person's okay. Even if that person says, I don't think we are meant to be, maybe they're not an evil person. Or even if that person has fallen in love with somebody else, that doesn't mean that they are bad. Maybe they just fell in love with somebody else and were more compatible with that person. And so not needing to create an enemy or a villain is part of it. But every aspect of life, to see things, they call it being dispassionate. And it's so funny because we're always encouraged to be passionate about everything. But in yoga, they have different modes of nature. And one of them is the mode of passion. And that is actually the drama of life. And you don't want to live there. You might want to visit, but you don't want to stay there. That is not a sign of strength. So that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about cultivating strength. How do you do that? You do it because you don't live on your nerves. You don't live on your emotions. You recognize that emotions are reactions, and reactions, these are triggers. They're not inherently important, your emotions, because they're just kind of like automatic responses based on past experiences. They're not necessarily valid for whatever you're currently dealing with. Okay, 5, advice, lessons you've learned last year. So here's another card. Okay, and this is where it gets interesting because the advice is the Moon card, and this is talking about lessons that you've learned from last year. The Moon card is connected to Pisces. The Moon itself in astrology is about your emotions. In the tarot, the Moon card is associated with, on the positive end, creativity, intuition, and things like that. But in the negative sense, it can be addiction, deception, insanity, or mental problems. So in terms of advice, it's kind of like a continuation from what I just said with the Justice card. It's like, you know, don't allow your emotions to control you. And perhaps this past year has been a year where your emotions have been, you know, triggered by a person, maybe a spouse, or, you know, it can be any type of relationship, really, and how unproductive that is. You can only control yourself. And with the Moon card representing the spiritual, kind of the intuitive side of us, cultivating creativity, and also we have the Sun card up there, so that might be indicating that even like with career matters, that you are more of an artistic person and somebody who excels in the healing arts. Maybe you are trying to be in the corporate environment. Maybe that's what the Five of Wands represents to you. And there might have even been something appealing beyond the money that you were making. Maybe you liked that. You thought you liked that competition. I think, you know, I think that was kind of what I was getting at the beginning, is that I believe that even though Scorpios do have that co-ruler of Mars, and they might come across, and even Pluto, I mean, that's not warm and fuzzy, that they may have that side to them that enjoys that lifestyle where it's kind of dog eat dog. Being a water sign makes the person sensitive. They might hide it like very well, but it still is present. And in addition to that, it's not just about being personally hurt, but also the type of things that really appeal to you. Maybe more some things that have a spiritual nature to them, and or a creative nature, and that you would fit in much better in that type of environment. Okay. The sixth, is it the sixth card? Yeah. Navigation. Guidance for your year ahead. And that is, ooh, this is great. This is a great card, you guys. The Sun card. Guidance for the year ahead. Follow your bliss was the first thing that came into my mind. Creativity, you know, express yourself creatively. You know, choose love. If you have been connected to somebody who is very contentious, who likes to start fights, and they kind of threw you off your game because, you know, there's just that negativity always there. Don't have people like that in your life. Have people that bring you joy. The Sun is about joy, about pleasure, enjoyment. It's also about children. So if you're of childbearing years and you're, you know, thinking about that, and you're starting to really take it seriously that, hey, you want to have children, be very careful about it. Is this person worthy of being your co-parent? You know, don't underplay that and think that it's not that big of a deal, because it is. And also, I would say with the Sun card, you know, that's why, like I said before, isn't that funny? I got the Moon and the Sun. Express yourself. Who knows? It can be something that you can turn into a business. And, you know, like a creative business. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you're always fighting, think of your children. Think about how it's affecting them. And then the seventh card is clarity. Your personal theme for the year. And this is in the middle. I'm going to just pull this out. The Temperance card. Now, this is connected to Sagittarius. Excuse me. And This is about, somebody said to me, I think with this card, as above, so below. I would say a balance between the spiritual and the material, taking care of both areas of life. You know, just like the Justice card, you know, shows the scales, balance in your life. People who are not really that concerned with material things can be quite ungrounded and spacey and impractical. And then people who are too earthbound, they don't have this sense of anything beyond the physical. There may be little creativity. Everything is just like, well, I have to see it with my own two eyes. They can't imagine. They might not have a vision for themselves. So combining these things, if you have any kind of addiction, because I did get the Moon card too, this would be a great year to take care of it. And also, if you're with somebody who has this kind of a problem, to understand, to admit to yourself that they have that problem. That's the first step. And that might be why you can't move forward with the Fool card, because you're still kind of engaging in wishful thinking. You don't want to really face the facts. Maybe you're in denial over somebody else's problems and how it really severely impacts the relationship as a whole. Basically, what I see, Scorpio, for 2020 is really giving yourself permission to be happy, to be playful, to love. I mean, to be deserving of love, and also the creative aspect. You know, really expressing yourself, your soul, through art and things like that. Okay, that's what I have for you, Scorpio. If you would like the astrological counterpoint to this, counterpart I should say, I am offering an extended transit reading for 2020. This is going to be available through the end of December of this year, and it's at a special price. I have a link directly below this video so you can check it out. And, you know, when you click that link, it'll take you to my website, and there's other readings that I offer as well. So if that interests you, definitely check it out. But I do hope that all of you have a wonderful New Year 2020. And thank you for those of you who have been watching me, commenting to me. You know, some people are so kind. It's like they know when you need that encouragement, and I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye.